Germaine, thank you very much for being on the podcast. So
Thank you for having me.
you were just walking your dog, and as I said, your dog has more subscribers than me. I feel terrible about it. What what
Well,
kind?
he's a very handsome young man, so
Oh,
it's
thanks. So
okay.
what does it say about me then? Okay, cool. What kind of dog is that?
It's a bully.
Oh, American Bully.
Yes.
Nice,
He
nice.
came all the way from the United States.
Really, that's it's interesting. So there is no other bullies around in Netherlands.
Yeah, they are, but not as beautiful as he is. And we were specifically looking for that color, so the three colors, and we couldn't, we didn't find one here in the Netherlands, so we went outside of the outside of the Netherlands and we bought one in the United States.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, he's very handsome. So people should check it out. His name is Garrett. Or what is it?
If you pronounce it in Dutch, it's Gerrit.
Oh God.
It's
Okay.
a typical Dutch name. It's a very, very, very Dutch.
Got it. So last time we spoke, you actually were on your shift. You were a police officer, which I did not know about.
Yes, that's true. I am.
How the heck can somebody be a police officer and a high-level fighter at this day and age? Because I always thought that time has changed, and now in order to compete in the high level, you have to be 100% focused on the craft.
I admit that would be the perfect scenario, to be solely focusing on fighting. But, I at the same time, you also have to make money and pay bills. And, anything can happen. You can get injured and no, you can't fight then. So you can, you don't make money. If you don't fight, you don't make money. So, and I believe, I'm healthy, I'm young, I'm still able to do it. So why not contribute to society and give something back?
That's very, very honorable. And how often do you have to use your MMA skills in your day-to-day job?
Never,
That's
never,
Dutch
ever,
people
ever.
are known for being good.
No, but never. It all starts, as a police officer. I believe it all starts with the first approach. When you approach somebody, how do you want to? I always ask myself, how do I want to be approached by somebody? It doesn't matter who. How do I want to be approached? So the way I want to be approached is the way I approach people. I treat them like people. And you meet people at their most vulnerable moment. They're hurt. You never call the police just to have a cup of coffee. You always call the police when there's trouble. So people are very vulnerable at that moment. So you have to imagine yourself what a person has been through, even though you don't know the whole story yet. You're going there with a part of the story, and the rest you don't know. You got to go and figure that out. But imagine yourself from the only few words you know about the situation. Imagine what people go through, even if you're a bad guy or not. If you shoplift and you get caught, it sucks. You get caught. You go to jail. You know you got to pay a fine. It sucks. Sometimes there's more to it than just the theft. So I always say try to imagine what people go through and remember that they are vulnerable the moment we come. So not everything is personal to us. It's just they're angry at the situation. So don't make a lot of things personal. That's what I try to do, and it helps. For me, it helps. Keeps me out of situations where I have to use violence or I get in a violent situation.
Yeah, it's very relevant conversation here in the United States at the moment, by the way, and you know about it, and you probably have seen it happening around. What's the most memorable story from your police career?
Every story is memorable.
So you have
Everywhere
some
you go.
stories.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm a police officer, so of course, you see things and things happen. Um, but one of the memorable stories I will never forget. Well, I'm not allowed to go into details, but
Of course.
I was in a situation with a woman, and I've talked to the woman, I've listened to the woman, and I've tried to help the woman because she was in need. And, it's like maybe a couple months later, I see this woman walking the streets. It's an elderly woman. And she's walking there with a friend. And I was at work, I was working. And then she stopped and she looked at her friend. And then she said to her friend, "That's the nice police officer, the one that listened to me and helped me. I will never forget her. I'm so thankful." And that moment, for me, that's a memorable moment because that means I did my job very well and I helped somebody, you know, without leaving a bad intention or anything. And then for me, my day is good. I had a good day at work.
Well, that's very nice. When I watch your fight, you don't look to be this kind of a person, and during the fight, so you kind of changed a little. One interesting thing I've done. So I was looking at five interesting things about Germaine de Randamie. It's some article, and there is something that they say very little known about Germaine growing up. So I thought, okay, that's very interesting. So we're gonna talk about that, and then we're gonna talk about your fantastic MMA and Muay Thai career. So let's go from the very beginning. What's the mystery? Where were you born and grew up?
I'm born and raised in Utrecht, the Netherlands, and I still live there. I made a switch move to the United States, but came back. I started very young. I was very young when I was like, I think I was 3 years old or three, almost four. I started swimming, and I was pretty good at swimming. So after swimming, I always wanted to play soccer, you know, and I love soccer. Soccer, if you come from Europe, you love soccer, no matter what.
Yeah.
We call it football, but let's stick to soccer. And I played that for a very long time. I played pretty high, yeah, pretty high level. I played in the selection of the Netherlands, and during that time, I was doing when I was playing soccer, I wanted to do karate. I was
Mhm.
my mom did kickboxing, and I'm like, yeah, I like that. I want to do that. So I did a little bit of karate, and I quit pretty fast with it. I think I had the green slip or something, and then I stopped, and because it wasn't that what I was looking for. I was looking for the more full contact.
Mhm,
And I
yeah.
was still playing soccer, and one day I probably woke up and I'm like, I'm done with soccer. And my mom like, okay, you sure? You play pretty high. I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I don't feel it anymore. So quit playing soccer. And a friend of mine, he was doing kickboxing at the time, and he was like, Germaine, you want to come and do a kickboxing class with me? And I'm like, yeah, okay, well, let's do that. So from that moment on, I never stopped. I fell in love. It was love at first sight.
How old were you?
15.
15. My God. And in next few years you were able to win so many awards.
So 3 years later, 3 months later, I fought my first fight. I became 16. I started in February, became 16 in April, and fought in May. And my first fight, I was 16 years old. I fought a 28-year-old woman. And I never stopped. And I never started kickboxing with the intention becoming, a multiply world champion or becoming the best. Never. That started to switch when I started doing MMA, but I never had that intention of becoming the very best.
So did you
I just liked it and I never quit.
so you just casually were winning the world titles just for fun? Was it the story?
Well, at a point when you start to hit a point, it starts to become serious,
Hmm.
and I fell in love. And, if you win one, you want to win another one, and you want to win another one, and you want to win another one. So,
So kickboxing is very popular in Netherlands, and Dutch kickboxers are very well known. One thing as I was kind of researching you, one thing to keep popping up that you are fighting Muay Thai, right? Can you kind of give a background of kickboxing and Muay Thai? Why were you switching, or is it just because that's the only thing was available to competing?
no, no, no. I fought a lot of I fought a lot of kickboxing fights, a lot of, but sometimes, you fight a world title fight and, it's on full Muay Thai rules. So most of my world titles are kickboxing, but I think I got 3 world titles in Muay Thai or 4. So sometimes you switch up,
Mm-hmm.
it depends what the promoter asks for and the opponent. If they want to fight full Muay Thai rules, we fight full Muay Thai rules. But here in Holland, I always fought just kickboxing rules.
How do you compare Muay Thai to kickboxing?
I think it's a very more slower pace because of the elbows. You know, you got to be careful because if you step in and you catch the elbow and you catch it on the wrong spot of the elbow, you know, it cuts you open. So it's a slower pace, I believe, because you know you got to be. You cannot just step in and catch that elbow. So I believe it's a slower pace. Kickboxing is a high pace of fighting. It's a hard pace of fighting.
Interesting. What was your parents' reaction on your new passion?
Well, my mom, she did kickboxing herself,
Oh.
so she was always very supportive. But you know, in the beginning, she was like, "Yeah, we'll see about that." You know, maybe if she got hit a few times, she'd be like, "No, no, 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 I don't like it." But you know, she saw right away that I fell in love, and she always taught me, you know, if you want to do something, just go for it, you know, and follow your heart and give everything you have. It will never be an easy road, but it will absolutely be worth it. And my dad, in the beginning, he didn't appreciate it at all, you know. But eventually, when I kept winning and winning, he started to you know, agree with it. Well, he had no other option. I was going to do it anyways.
And then, at what point did you realize that fighting is going to be your life? It's going to be at least one of your careers.
I started to realize that, and that's stupid. Maybe it sounds stupid, but just a couple of years ago, when I got injured, you know, and from MMA, I realized when I wasn't able to do what I love to do, how much I loved it. You know, there hits a point in your career you're just doing it because that's a part of you, you know, and the love sometimes changes a little bit, you know, it switches. And so when I got injured, I realized this is my life. This is when I feel most alive. When I fight, this is when I'm most happy. I'm in my I'm in my happy place. That's when I'm fighting. Or when I hit the gym, I really love training. You know, every piece of it. Well, there are pieces I hate, of course, but after I've done them, you know, I'm just so happy that I did it. You know, I really love training, and it makes me a better person. I think I would be a very, very, very horrible person if I don't train.
Do you have any scenario in mind where you would think to leave police and just focus on MMA, or maybe vice versa? Or are you thinking that it's always going to be hand to hand because you feel like you have to get back to the society?
I think it's always going to be a 50-50. You know, I always want to give back to society, but it doesn't have to be necessary to police. You know, I can also give back in different ways to society. You know, I really believe it's important to be a role model. If you have the platform, you know, don't abuse it and use it to inspire people and to set an example. Um, you know, the thing is why I always believe it's going to be 50-50 because I don't care about money. I really don't care. I hate money. Sometimes I wish I was born in a time where people were still trading, you know, because money changes people and not always in the good, for the good, you know. Um, so I believe I always do it 50-50. I'm 36 years old. My career is not going to be forever, even though I wish, you know, I wish I was still 20, but I'm not, unfortunately. I feel 20, but I'm not. And I didn't took a lot of damage during my career. So that's the good thing. So I have fight left in me, a lot of fight left in me, I believe. But, you know, there has to be something after fighting. You know, fighting is not the end of my life. And I will always contribute and stay a part of fighting, no matter what I will do. But, you know, there has to be things that has to be done in life too, you know, for others, especially in times like this with COVID and everything, you know. I hope that people start to realize that, you know, respecting each other, loving each other, and appreciating each other a little bit more than we do and take things for granted has led to these difficult times, and we all need help sometimes, so let's help each other and get back to this and become better.
Yeah, that's deep, but I'll take you back to fighting.
That's really deep.
Yes, one thing I was always curious about, what goes through your mind when you first fight for the title in it was kickboxing fight, right? And when you actually see that belt being put on you.
uh well, to be honest, that goes a very long time back. That's 19 years ago. So Jesus. uh I think at the moment I didn't realize it, that I just became the world champion. I think it was like a dream. And then that moment goes by so fast. When your hand get raised, they strap that belt around your waist, they give you the microphone and be like, it goes so fast. I honestly believe I was very, very, very happy.
I'm sure. And what's more difficult, you think, to win the title or to defend it?
To retain the title, defend it is much. It's easy to find. Well, it's not easy. That's stupid. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not easy to go to the top, but it's easier to go to the top than to stay on top.
Is it
You know,
mental or physical because people already studying you and they know what you're going to be doing?
I believe it's mentally tougher because I believe fighting is 75% mental, 25% physical, because our body can do so much, can handle so much. But your brain, how much stress can your brain endure before you collapse, before you break? So I believe mentally it's tougher because if you're the champion, you got to just run a little bit faster, punch a little bit harder, shoot a little bit faster, defend the takedown, sprawl so much sharper, defend the submissions, go for submissions. Anything and everything has to be a little bit more because they want to take something away from you. You are
Mhm.
the target. You're the one that's being hunted.
So I think your record was something ridiculous, 46 and oh, something out of this planet. Is it correct?
Yeah, I got 46 profiles and I got 46 wins.
Gosh, and then for some reason you decided to pursue MMA as nothing, as if life wasn't perfect. Like, walk me through that decision.
Well, there was a period in my kickboxing career, I think it was for like 4 years in a row. I finished all my fights by knockout, or TKO. And a lot of girls, didn't want to fight me anymore.
Yeah, let
But
me
I
tell
mean,
you this: it's a good problem to have. I win all the fights by KO. I'm sorry,
sometimes it's a
my
good
life
problem.
sucks.
But sometimes it sucks because you want to fight and do what you love to do. But sometimes it's a good thing. I agree with you. So I didn't fight a lot. A lot of girls pulled out at the time. So, and then they offered me an MMA fight. And I'm like, I've always said I wanted to try it because to me, the ultimate is two women fighting in a cage, you know. Um, so I took the fight and they told me, she was also a beginning MMA fighter. I'm like, okay, no problem. And I'm never the YouTube girl, I'm always like, I, my team and I, we always go off our own strengths, and of course you gotta, they look at the fights of my opponents. I don't look at them, and at that time, and it was 2006. No, I didn't use YouTube or whatever, Google. I'm
Yeah.
like, whatever. We're just gonna fight. So I fought a Brazilian girl, and I'm like, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And they're like, no, 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 she's a blue belt. She's a blue belt. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So I trained for 2 months and went to Miami. Got my arm ripped in two pieces in the first round, and then came back. It was my first loss. And then came back, and people told me, "Don't do MMA. You can't do MMA. Stick to what you're good at. Don't go and do something you're not good at." And I'm like, "What the heck? Nobody's going to tell me I'm good or not good at something. If I can or can't, I'm the one that's going to say I can't. Nobody can decide that for me, right? So I packed my stuff and well, I had to recover for 9 months because she literally ripped my arm. I didn't tap on the
Wow.
armbar, which was
Wow.
very tight. Good for her, you know. So she literally ripped my arm into two pieces, and had to recover. Did two more kickboxing fights, knocked both girls out, and then packed my stuff and moved to the United States.
How was it mentally for you go from such a dominant victories in kickboxing to your first loss? Was it like devastating, or it's like, oh, interesting, there is something to
You know
learn
the
about?
thing is, the loss is not so devastating, because I always say when you leave everything behind in that cage or ring, you
Hmm.
know, there's it's not much to regret. There's only lessons to learn from, you know. Um, but the way that people started treating you after you lose, after
Hmm.
first you win everything, and then all of a sudden you're that loser, that was like a stab in the back because that when you lose, you need the support, you need the arms around you, and they're like, it's gonna be okay. We're going to work on this, and everybody was like, no, you can't, and this, and not everybody, but some people were like, you can, and I'm like, why all that negativity? You know, this is life. You win some, you learn some. This is life. Because you lose doesn't mean you're a forever loser. At least you try.
So at that moment, do you realize that hey, MMA is more interesting? I'm gonna pursue this from now, or what's the story there?
And well, yeah, you start to realize that you need to focus, on learning the ground skills, and I fought everybody. I was the world champion in three different weight divisions in kickboxing. I fought the best of the very, very best. There was not much of a challenge anymore. So why not and do something else and get excited about fighting again, Get excited to go to the gym again. Find the love for fighting after so many disappointments of not fighting, girls pulling out, so find the joy again. And I really found joy in it.
How was your MMA career developing from there? Because when was it first time you got a call from a bigger promotion like Strike Force? What led to
So,
that?
well, I trained at, first started teaching and training at Combat Sports Academy in Dublin, California.
Mm-hmm.
And so Strikeforce, they had a very good context with Strikeforce and always delivered a lot of fighters to Strikeforce because Strikeforce was really located basically in the Bay Area where I was training at. So and then I think because of Scott Coker is a real kickboxing fan, so he knew me,
Mm-hmm.
so he gave me a chance to fight at Strikeforce, and that's how I found my way in.
So eventually, I mean, you start winning. At what point did you start looking at the championship? Like you realize that you actually can be champion and start focusing on that goal.
Um, I never entered the UFC with I just want to be a part of the UFC. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? The moment Dana White announced women coming into the UFC, and me still being on the contract of Strikeforce that was bought up by the UFC, I knew maybe I have a chance, in making it. And if I go there, the belt is what I want. You know, I want to be the best, the very best, and I want to do what other people don't or not always do. And I want to be the best in both kickboxing and MMA. So why not give it a try? I'm not here to, like, Conor McGregor said it best. I'm not here to take part. I'm here to take over.
Yeah. And I see that UFC belt over your head right now. How is it different getting that UFC belt versus getting your first kickboxing championship belt? Do you remember the
Well,
feelings, or is the same?
yes, of course. Of course, there's a difference because there are many great kickboxers, but this was the first ever UFC featherweight title. So you go into the history books. Writing history, be the first Dutch, to take that belt. and make history again, you know. And I've written history so many times, so you know, I wanna leave something behind, you know, and becoming the champion, also the UFC champion, becoming the number one in there, you know, makes it complete.
What's your most memorable MMA fight? I'm assuming it's a fight for the belt, but I might be wrong.
Rotterdam, first UFC in the Netherlands. I walked out and the building was exploding. So yeah, that was the most beautiful fight, most memorable fight of my life.
I believe your mom was there as well, right?
Yes, it's the only MMA fight she saw all my kickboxing fights, all of them. That's the only MMA fight she saw live, and it was on Mother's Day.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, so it was an extra. It was beautiful. It was, you know, I never look back at my fights, but that's one I rewatch and rewatch and rewatch over and over again.
My memory kind of failing me. Who did you face then? Who was your
Anna
opponent?
Elmers.
Okay, I got it. Got it. And how was what did your mom say? Like, hey, I would never be here again, or what's
She said I think it's her most beautiful fight in my complete career too,
uh
because she saw I've never gotten, you know, Holland is very tough. We have a very tough crowd, and
mhm.
we have a tough crowd because we're so spoiled. We have the best kickboxers on the planet,
Yes.
you know. So you have to bring something very special to get to win the crowd, you know. And I won the crowd like the gladiator, win the crowd, win your freedom. I
Hmm.
did. They lifted me up. It didn't matter who was in front of me. You know, I would have knocked out anybody who would be in front of me that day. And I think my mom, for her, was the most beautiful thing that she saw the love I got from my home country. You know, and she, you know, as a mom, uh, supporting me for 21 years of fighting. You know, and you see that it's like, you know, the cherry on the most beautiful cake there is.
What's going on with MMA right now? Are you training, and is there any fights scheduling? I know it's a pandemic; nobody know what the hell is happening. But I'm curious, what are you hearing in terms of upcoming fights?
I have not heard anything. You know, I'm ready to go. I'm training. Of course, I'm training, and of course we have to adjust the trainings, you know, a little bit because of the
Yeah.
pandemic. But mentally, I'm ready to go. My weight is I'm not that heavy. You know, I'm walk around maybe 150, 145, between 145 and 150. You know, so I'm good to go. I can fight. You know, mentally, I'm ready to go. So if they have a fight and I'm allowed to fly, let's go.
Who would you want to face?
Who do I want and who do I get? It's two different.
Yeah, I think I know who you want to face, but outside of her. Did you see her
You
fight
want me?
yesterday? By the way.
Not yet, not yet. But I want
Okay.
to face. I know and a lot of people tagged me on Instagram, so I know she kept the fight standing. Unfortunately, you know, I wish she would have taken a Felicia down too. So you know, but it says something too. I believe. You know, it proves that. Um, you know, it proves a lot of it proves a lot, you know. But of course, Amanda's the one I won, but I won the one that's giving me the fight to Amanda. So whoever it is, as long as it gives me Amanda next, I fight that person.
What's last fight? You clearly were winning in the fight exchange, like on the stand up. So you forced her to grapple with you. Are you trying to? Are you planning to adjust that part, like maybe focus on grappling, or what's your strategy? Do you
I
think?
mean, a lot of people ask me that. You know, I made stupid mistakes. I gave the takedowns away. I know that, and I made it hard for myself to defend the takedowns. You know, I definitely saw that. I rocked her a couple times, and she didn't want to have anything to do with my hands and legs. I saw that, and I started to become greedy. Started to be very flat-footed, you know, and making myself heavy, and it's easy to shoot underneath. You know, the heavier I make myself, you know, the flat-footed I am, it's easier to shoot. And then don't forget she's a black belt on the ground. She's a black belt judo, a black belt on the ground, and you know, it's
But,
I made it easy for her,
well, but you
and
also almost submitted here. I'm like, holy cow, that would be that would be a twist to the whole scenario.
yeah. So I know where I'm making mistakes, and of course we have to make a few adjust. We have to make a few adjustments. And my corners told me during the fight, stay light on the feet, bait her into it, catch her with the uppercuts, step to the side, and we trained on it. And as a kickboxer, I always walked everybody down and
Yeah,
very flat-footed, and as a real kickboxer, you know, land heavy bombs, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to knock her out, and I knew I had to catch her one time, and you know, I made my bad, and she showed why she's the champion. She's a true champion. But I do believe I'm the only one at this moment that can give her a run for money.
agree. When you watch a UFC or any other MMA fights, do you have any favorite fighters who you really enjoy watching? Who you think like, oh, they're very interesting?
Justin Gaethje, I
Oh yeah.
really, he's like my idol. He's such a good wrestler. Such a humble guy, such a good wrestler, and keeps it on the feet. Man, I respect that. Even if he gets knocked out, it gets robbed. He doesn't shoot for a takedown. He keeps it an entertaining fight. That deserves, for me, the utmost respect because I'm a fighter at heart too. I want to fight battles the way he fights. Man, sign me up for that one.
And it's crazy because my understanding is like when you rocked, it goes through the reflexes, and I would think that he should automatically start a takedown, but it seems
Right?
like he kind of kills that instantly himself. It's interesting.
Yeah, it
Out,
is very interesting.
yeah, outside of Gaethje, anyone else, or he's the guy?
The thing is, I love seeing it. I just love fighting.
Hmm.
I watch a lot of boxing too, and then I watch a lot of MMA. When I don't watch MMA when I'm in training camp for a fight. That's the only time I don't watch it.
Why is
You
that?
know, because I do it every day.
Mm.
Every day, day in, day out. I'm focused. I'm training. I'm preparing myself for war. You know, I don't have to see it, and I know what I'm gonna do. I visualize. I don't want any distractions. I'm a little bit crazy in that way. I don't want. I just like to watch movies and great series. Just not fighting at that moment. You know, but I respect every athlete that has the balls to walk up to that ring or cage and step in there and fight. So
Hmm.
good or bad. But I like fighters that come to fight, that really don't hug legs and hump legs and don't do anything. If they have a great jiu-jitsu, I love to see that. I just don't love those leg huggers and don't do anything, or people that don't come to fight and call themselves the best. Seriously, fight. You gotta fight. This is the fighting business. This is not the running business. It's the fighting business.
Yeah. Who do you consider to be the greatest of all time in MMA?
I don't believe in the greatest of all time. I don't believe in that.
Next
You know
question.
what? And it's very simple. And just an example, just an easy example. First, it was Anderson Silva, the greatest of all time. Now we have somebody else that they call the greatest of all time. Then it's George St. Pierre, which is a legend. Absolutely. We have Ronda Rousey. She's the greatest of all times. Now Amanda Nunes is the greatest of all times. You're the greatest in this area, in this era, in life or in martial arts. Not of all times, in this era. I believe in that. That can be the greatest in this era, but I don't believe in the greatest ever because there have been so many greatest ever that how can you call yourself the greatest ever if they called somebody else the greatest ever before you or
Hmm.
will call it after you? If you lose, you're not the greatest ever anymore. It's just, yeah, I don't believe in it.
Who is the greatest in this era?
George St. Pierre.
Got it. So what do you think is the biggest misconception about MMA fighters that general public misunderstands or doesn't appreciate?
I honestly don't know, but what I believe that a lot of people think that because we fight for life, for a hobby and or work and whatever you you know whatever MMA is for you in your life or what part it has in your life. A lot of people think that maybe that when we're at home, we're also knocking everybody left and right out. I think that's the biggest misconception. Oh, I shouldn't make you angry. What the heck? Why? You can make me angry. I'm not gonna knock you out or something. You know, that's the common thing. I should make you angry. Really? Oh, really? You shouldn't make. No, you shouldn't make anybody angry at any given time.
Well, to be fair, I thought the same thing. I should be nice to her, even though she's pretty far away.
Why?
I don't know. Well, because you knock people out for just. Well, you said that you're not fighting for money, so basically, to me, it means you're just knocking people out for fun. Like, I mean, no, that's how I treat it. No, I'm kidding, of course.
Right.
I'm kidding.
You're right. But it's a mutual agreement, remember? So I like knocking people out, but I don't like to harm people. So I like to win by knockout, but they have to get back up and be okay. I don't want to harm anybody, not ever. But that person across me in the cage has the same feeling. They want to knock me out for fun too. Yeah, and if they get paid $1 million for knocking me out, well, they love it even more.
I'm glad you brought it up. So you're the fighter, right? You said you like knocking people out. There are fights where the situation goes a little bit out of control. That the person just doesn't fall. Like look at the Gaethje's last fight with Tony Ferguson. He just kept beating him, and the guy just wouldn't fall. Who do you think? Whose responsibility do you think is jumping? Is it the coaches who have to step in, or the referee?
I believe it's a coach's job to step in when a fighter cannot make any healthy decisions for themselves anymore. If you ask a fighter, "Do you want to fight?" he will always tell you yes.
Of course, I can't. That's what bothers me. They can't say no. There are also cameras there. Like, what are you talking about?
And not only that, you were like, if I say no, everybody's gonna look strange at me. No, then what the heck are you doing here?
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's human instinct. We're survivors. That's why we're evolving in so many years and getting older and older and older. We are survivors. So we will always say yes. But sometimes you got to look at a fighter and ask yourself, how many years does he still want to fight? And how many years, how much damage is this going to do for the rest of his life? Because the more damage the fighter takes, the more years of living you take away from that person, the more punishment you take. I would make the decision sometimes to stop the fight for my fighter if I think you take too much damage. What is it worth? Is it worth dying? Is it worth? I know you have to have the mentality in your mind that it's worth dying in here, but it doesn't have to take that. You don't have to take that literally, You're not more of a man or a woman by fighting till death, and you don't do anything good with letting your fighter continue to take more punishment. You're not only physically breaking them, but mentally you're breaking them too. They can be angry. Julia, be angry at me. Be angry. It's okay. But 10 years from now, if you're not stuttering and you still remember your own name, you will be thankful that I stopped this fight. Because we're not doctors, we're fighters. And we are coaches. We're not doctors. Other people study to be doctors. We cannot see what happens inside of that head, inside of that brain from taking all these shots. Not now, and maybe we don't see it now, but in a couple of years from now. And if you look back at it, there are so many fighters to quote. that have been in real wars that are not the same fighters anymore. Right?
Yes.
They continue to fight, but after those wars, and some of them fought one or two, they've never been the same anymore. There's multiple fighters we can call, and they were like, they're not the same anymore. They're
Why do you
still
think?
good.
Why do you
Not the
think
same.
that's the case, though? Is it mental? They break some mentally somewhere?
No, because some of them won fights, but been in such terrible wars. I don't know. I think some. I don't. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know. But I think it just does something with you.
Hmm.
It takes fighting years away.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen that a few times, and I don't want to name names, but I've seen that, and some of them are currently active. One thing I have to ask you about is that famous knockout of a dude that you had the boxing match with a man, and he was a journalist or he was some TV personality who was training for boxing or some other stuff. Can you tell us the backstory of that?
So he was doing a TV show, and he was in the TV show was about doing extraordinary things.
Mhm.
So he swim from the Netherlands to England.
Holy shit, that's a lot of swimming.
You know what I'm saying? You need cardio for that. And he was breaking into a bank with a thief and all kinds of stuff. So and he said, I want to do a pro boxing match. So, but you cannot just do a pro boxing match, right? So he did three previous fights, but on TV they had to tell everybody, of course, he didn't fight. But he did three previous fights, and then for TV we fought a real fight with 10-ounce gloves, and it was 4 rounds, 3 minutes, and it was a 20 kilograms, so 40 pounds weight difference. But because I had like 22 pro fights, and he had only three fights, so we still did the smaller the 10-ounce gloves, and the
Hmm.
weight difference was a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I saw that was interesting knockout, but he was winning. He tried to kill you there. I was like, it wasn't just for fun. It wasn't that a fun fight where you guys friendly sparring. I was
No,
shocked. To
no.
be
And the first round I knocked him down already. He got an 8 count. And then the fourth round, the last round, it was like, do or die. And he pushed me really hard against the ropes. And I'm like, okay, that's 40 pounds. I feel it. And it was like, he wanted to maw my head off.
oh yeah, I remember that. I'll give a credit. If the guy never trained boxing, I will give him a credit. He was okay. He wasn't that bad. Are you in touch? I mean, have you spoken to him since then, or he just
No, he
disappeared?
went to the hospital because he torn his ACL and the ligaments in his ankle because he collapsed. So I haven't talked to him after that.
All right, so next. Well,
But
it for those of you who not don't know, you can go on YouTube and watch it. It's fascinating. So I have this quick blitz German when I'm gonna be asking you a quick question and you give me a quick answer. Okay.
okay,
So what's your favorite movie?
it's not just a quick answer. Sorry. Um, I have more than one, so it's hard.
Go ahead.
Um, I'm a real big fan of the Hunger Games. Don't ask me why, I just love them. And Boondock Saints, I really love Boondock Saints. Um, I've seen so many movies recently in those COVID times that I can't all remember them. And saw Avatar also has to be in the list. I'm a real Avatar fan. Has to be in it. Um, there's so many more. I don't know. I have a very wide genre which I like.
I've heard that the second Avatar is in the process and should be released soon, so you're gonna have some fun there. Who's your favorite movie star?
Melissa McCarthy. Yeah,
What's your favorite music?
art style.
Art style? What's
That's
your
like a hardcore beat, beat, beat.
okay? I'm not surprised. What's your favorite sport outside of MMA?
Sucker.
What's your favorite country to visit?
Hawaii.
one thing that your fans don't know about you.
I don't know what they know.
True, it's actually a fair answer. After this
Yeah,
interview, they know everything.
exactly.
What's the first item on your bucket list?
Winning the UFC belt. No, visiting on what? Well, I think becoming a, yeah. Well, there's so many things, you know. I'm probably going to New Zealand and Hawaii.
Actually, one quick point. Do you wanna win the belt, or you wanna avenge the loss from Amanda? Assuming if for some reason she lost the belt, would it be equally good for you to win that belt with a new champion, or you want to beat Amanda and get that belt? I'm just curious.
That's a good one. I think because she's been such a dominant champion and such a good, well-deserved champion, I would want to fight Amanda. I think because she's so good and she's been so dominant, and I believe I have the key to defeat her. You know, and you know, she's been so dominant that if she loses now, it doesn't take away anything. You
Yeah.
know, she's still the most dominant UFC champion in the women's division. So, it can happen to anybody. If she makes a slight mistakes and she's the one that's being hunted, she's not hunting, she's being
Hmm.
hunted. So that can happen, and especially in MMA, that can happen. But to have a win over such a dominant champion, I think that means probably more than winning the belt. But I do would love to bring the belt because it's been taken away. I would love to bring it back to my country, give it back to Europe because I believe Europe deserves to have another UFC champion.
I have a last question for you. What your advice would be for the young fighters who just trying to pursue this career? And also, I would like you probably to elaborate on the quote you said, "Die with memories and not uh, dreams." Yeah, I love that.
My advice to the young generation is don't focus too much on the Conor McGregors, the people that make so much money. No, but because people are so much busy with making money, and I understand a family has to been fed, and you need to eat and you need to be able to do what you love to do, but don't lose the love of fighting over the love of money. Not everybody's going to be a millionaire, but do in life what's good. Help people. Be a role model. You don't have to be the champion always to be a role model. We're all champions in life. We're all special in something. Stay humble. Know where you're from, where you've born, and always go back to that. Don't change. No matter what happens, don't change. Stay who you are. And if you do change into a better person. And with that being said, I always say die with memories, not dreams, because a life, without dreams is not worth living, right? I believe so. But it's not worth living if you don't go after your dreams either. So don't settle for less. If if something is making you happy and you believe without harming people, you know, that is what makes your life complete, go after it. It will never be an easy road. Never. But it will be so worth it. So die with memories, not dreams.